Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of What's Flowering Inside My Indoor Garden for the months of February and March 2024. And this month I have a very good season for you. Usually winter, it's when most of my plants will bloom because most of my collection is made up of Phalaenopsis. So usually when it comes spring, I have so many Phalaenopsis in bloom and it's so rewarding. So let's advise you to have some maybe warm beverage and stay here with me and let's start this video. To start today, I have here my beautiful Zygopetalum Trozy Blue. I've shown you this before a long time ago and I thought that was a good season to bring it back. These plants bloom for me around 3 times a year and it's a very easy Zygopetalum to grow. It is a complex hybrid and it does very well under my growing lights. It keeps producing more growths and it pushed out one flower spike and now I have a second one that's growing on the other side of my plant. The only disadvantage here is that it is a massive orchid and you have to keep in mind that this plant needs its space. I have this pot up in soil, so it's the only orchid that I have that's only potted in soil. So as you can see, it does amazingly well. It might help you grow your Zygopetalum. So who knows, keep that in mind. None of all of them are epiphytes. Without further ado, I will go to the next plant in bloom. So the next one is the only Paphiopedilum that I have this month. Is my gorgeous Paphiopedilum delenatii. This one, it's a species and it bloomed twice in less than a year, which is amazing for this one. Usually it takes a long time to mature a new growth and it blooms average maybe yearly or a little bit longer than 1 year, but it does have beautiful gorgeous foliage that I adore and that's a very darling plant for me. Some of the delenatii, people say that it is fragrant, but mine is not. It definitely doesn't smell like anything. But even so, I love the pouch. I love to see the little dotted pouch with the sweet pink petals and sepals and the hairy plant. Some Paphiopedilums are very hairy and this one it is as well. So I'm so glad that it managed to mature another growth. And I was also surprised because not long ago I repotted this plant. So I didn't expect it to rebloom so soon, but I cannot complain. So I'm super glad it did. And I offer it the same care that I offer all of my Paphiopedilums. I grow them under growing lights. This one is potted fully in moss, but some of them are potted in moss and bark. And I tend to water it when it needs its watering. I don't let them dry out completely. But more than that, they are super easy to grow. Next plant, I have a No ID Oncidium intergeneric for you. And again, it's going to be the only intergeneric today. This is one of my favorites, Oncidium's intergenerics, because it produces beautiful red flowers and that they are star-shaped. This plant is capable of much more. This year, it's a little bit sad. It got attacked by spider mites, and on top of that, I didn't repot it yet. It needs to be reported. So I can see that my plant is not performing at its best, but hopefully next year I'll have a beautiful bloom show for you. But I adore these flowers so much that I couldn't skip this one this time. But as you can see, it has only a few flowers, not a lot of them. And when this plant is very healthy, it's able to push out a very long flower spike, and the flowers can get pretty large as well. So it pushes a beautiful bloom show. However, I have no idea of the name of this one. If you know, let me know down below. The next one is another gorgeous plant. I will say that to all of them because I love my orchids. So this one is my Vanda sanderiana, and you've seen this one in the middle of the year last year, I think. And I wasn't expecting it to bloom again because this is a seasonal orchid, and usually it blooms only once a year, at least that's my experience. Always blooms only once a year. But I don't know what happened with it. I think the weather was a little bit strange last year, and I reported as well. So it pushed out a flower spike, and now it pushed a second flower spike. Both of them produced many flowers. I think this one was a little bit lighter, maybe because of the temperature. But these plants, at least where I live, they usually blooms in the middle of the winter. I don't know if the temperature impacts the way that it pushes out its flower spike, but I know that every year in the middle of the winter, it will bloom for me. I wasn't expecting it to bloom twice in the same year as well. So that's another surprise, but I couldn't film it when it was on its glory, so now the flowers were fading, but even so I couldn't not to show you this one. This is another species that I super recommend if you have the space for it. Now, a first bloomer, and this one for me, it's my favorite this month. Let me know down below which one is your favorite. I would love to hear you. I've just posted a video about this plant last week, and it's called Catasetum pileatum jumbo green gold. I was so excited with this flower spike. I was counting the days when the buds were maturing. I was so hopeful to see it in bloom, because last year it matured the growths but didn't push out a flower spike. So I adjusted the light, and this year finally I have these 3 gorgeous flowers. And I know that's not the typical orchid flower that we see in maybe flower shops or supermarkets, but they are so exotic, so unique, so large, and for me they are showstopper. I love this one so much, and I think it's because it's so unique. I have more information on that video. If you want, I'll link it down below. But for now, I'll just leave you with my beautiful Catasetum flowers. I can't wait to have more Catasetums, and this one will bloom again soon. So I will have more beautiful blooms. Now, the show is starting, and I will start with my seasonal Dendrobium nobile hybrids. Finally, I can show you them. I have so many other videos that I show you how I look after them living in a flat in London. So finally I can show you some of the blooms, and I'm glad because when these orchids decided to push out their blooms, they definitely made my flats more colorful, happier, and all of the qualities that these blooms bring with them. So I will start with another one that I had a spotlight here on this channel as well. That is my beautiful Dendrobium Yukidaruma. And this Dendrobium, it's one of my favorites of the nobiles, I must say. I don't know why, maybe because of the white flowers with that very dark center, that when you look from far, they look like they are black. But in fact, when you come close to them, you notice that's just a dark purple. And I think these white flowers, they are elegant. They definitely call my attention, and I love to admire them. And this year, it's doing much better than did last year, because last year was not a mature plant and now it's getting larger. So hopefully next year I will have even more blooms. So this one definitely surprised me, and I'm so much very happy to have it in bloom. The blooms faded already, but nonetheless, at least I could show you here. Next one is my Dendrobium Comet King. This one is a very common dendrobium that you can see in flower shops, supermarket. It's an easy one to find locally, especially in my area. So it push out a lot of pink/purple flower with a yellow center. It is a large hybrid though, but people love these flowers, I think because of the color combo. My daughter, she told me this time that this is her favorite among all Dendrobium nobiles, and I think it's because of the color combo, and I can understand that. Another thing important about this one, it has the same fragrance as all of the Dendrobium nobile hybrids. It's this kind of floral, powerful fragrance that I don't like, but I have fragrance sensitivity, so Dendrobium nobilis fragrance is not for me, but if you enjoy them, you would enjoy all of the dendrobiums that I'm showing here, because for me they smell the same. The only thing that I have to tell you about this one is that put a nicer show last year, maybe because this year I went away during winter time and I couldn't keep an eye on them, and they were in freezing conditions for much longer than they should. I should have brought them in earlier, but things just got out of control because I wasn't here. So all good, but they still managed to push out some flowers. They are just a little bit smaller and they didn't produce as many flowers as they did last year. So now let's go for the next dendrobium. And I have here my beautiful Dendrobium White No ID. This one is the same thing as my Comet King. Didn't push out as many flowers as it did last year. It had some issues this year as well. I repotted, I think last year, and one of the canes got really dehydrated and stressed, was pushing out many keikis. So because of the stress, it affected the flowers. This plant is capable of much more than this, but I still have some blooms to show you. And on top of that, this one is, from all of them, is the one that I don't think it needs a proper cool down. If I leave it in my living room, I think it would bloom normally because of how complex the plant is in terms of parents. It's not all of their parents are nobile. I think it's less than 50%. And it starts pushing out flowers much earlier in the season, so some of the flowers faded already, and I'm showing you the last blooms, so that's why you're not seeing it in full glory. And the last dendrobium of this list is my beautiful yellow dendrobium, and this one is Dendrobium nobile yellow song canary. Yeah, I think it's the canary of the bud. These birds, they are yellow, and this one is really nice because it's different from the sort of pink that we see all around and the whites that I've showed you before. So it's my only yellow Dendrobium nobile hybrid, and I love it, and it's pretty easy to rebloom as well. The only disadvantage, I think this is one of the tallest of the Dendrobium nobiles that I have. I have to repot it because it's falling. The pot is becoming so tall and so heavy at the top that it's losing its balance. It was very difficult for me to find a position to film it and to keep it. Anyway, I did manage to film it. You can see that it has many buds that didn't open at the time. This one is usually the last one to bloom for me, so this is the one that needs a little bit more of a cooler temperature if I compare to the other ones, and it's still blooming until now, and it's going to be the last one to complete its cycle. But I do think the yellow flowers will make up for it. And this year it pushed out a beautiful bloom display. I'm so excited. All of the canes are being able to bloom and rebloom. And on top of that, I have new canes sprouting and they are maturing in red. So I need to repot this plant immediately because it doesn't fit in its pot anymore. But I offer to all of these the same care. I'll leave some videos down below if you want a little bit more information. For now, I hope you enjoy this beautiful Dendrobium show. Now, the moment that probably most people was waiting for is my Phalaenopsis show. I'm not going to show you all of them. In this video, I have some plants that are still opening its buds, so I'll save some for next month. Because why not? At least I will have still a colorful month to show you. But for this one, I will show you the ones that finish to open all of its buds. The ones that are in full glory, or the ones that maybe the flowers have already gone or they are spent. So there are a bit of difference between some of my hybrids and species in terms of blooming. But let me stop it here, otherwise I can blab forever. I will start with the Polychilous one. And this one, like the others that I mentioned before, I did film a spotlight on it because it was with a beautiful large bloom. So you have seen this probably this footage before. If not, I will link it down below. But this, it's one of these complex hybrids that it is super great. I like the fragrance. I like how the parents of this plant were crossed to create this beautiful pattern of pink and yellow. And I am talking about the plant, and the name of this one is Phalaenopsis German Vincent var Blue, variety blue, crossed with dragon tree eagle, variety pink star. And as I mentioned on that video, we do have some tetrasps as one of the parents, so I didn't notice I have a new flower now that I haven't filmed, but I didn't notice a great difference in pattern. The only thing is, maybe it's because of the temperature, the way that the pink and yellow are displayed here, they are a little bit different on the newest flowers, but the flower that I'm showing you is the largest one so far on this plant. So I believe this plant is capable of pushing beautiful flowers in the future with the right care. It was very stressed, but now it's recovering. So when it is even better than it is now, I will probably have larger blooms and maybe many more flowers together. I think this plant is probably capable of pushing out at least 3 flower spikes and having multiple blooms. Usually Polychilous type of Phalaenopsis, they produce a shorter flower spike, but the flowers, most of them are fragrant and they are a little bit waxier, and they can be a space saver as well if you consider some of these spikes that can get very, very tall. It's not the case of this one. But I do offer the same care that I offer to all my Phalaenopsis. And now let's go to the next one. This one is another no ID. If you know the ID or maybe the commercial name of this orchid, I know that I cannot identify as a without doing a proper genetic test, but just out of curiosity, if you have seen some orchids that are similar to this one, I would love to hear. So this one, I wrote it down as sunset colors because in my imagination, I love when you see these pink, purple merging with more like a orange yellowish colors. It gives you this warm, vibrant color that we also encounter during the sunset. This plant is just a supermarket orchid. I found it locally last year. It has been recently repotted. That's why this time it didn't push out a flower spike as beautiful as it had before. I think it got stressed with thrips as well, so it took me a while to clean the plant completely and now it's finally recovering as well. So I have this beautiful flower spike with these super waxy petals and sepals, but this one is much more complex, but I think it has lots of polychylus on it, inside its DNA as well. But it only blooms when the temperature drops, like a normal complex hybrid Phalaenopsis. That's why I know that's very, very mixed. It does have some sort of fragrance, but it's very mild and you need to kind of sniff into the flowers for you to sense it. But I do love the color combo. For me, the most striking part of this plant is the color combo. It's something so unique that we don't find in all of the Phalaenopsis locally. So that's the reason why I decided to buy it in the first place a long time ago. I think it was like 2 years ago. Now let's go to the next one. I have another species here, and this one is my beautiful Phalaenopsis schilleriana. This one was a very young plant last year, and it managed to push out a very short flower spike with maybe 4 flowers. What happened is the plant was in that pot for a while and the pot was small for it, so I had to repot it. And I noticed that some roots died on the way. And after the roots died, and I noticed that it was in the process of starting pushing out new roots, it pushed out the flower spike as well. So this flower spike is not as great as I expected. It's very tall, very long, but didn't push out as many flowers as I thought it would. However, I do believe that's because of the repotting and how the plant reacted to the repotting. Phalaenopsis and other orchids, when we repot them, they can go into a bit of a shock and get very stressed. And stressed plants will not create as many flowers or as many flower spikes as healthy orchids. So the best way for me to have an outstanding, amazing flower show is to take a very good care of my Phalaenopsis. But nonetheless, I had to show you this because this is one of my favorite species. I love the leaves. I think they are striking. They are beautiful. If you want to have foliage plants, this one will do as well. On top of that, the pink color of the Phalaenopsis schilleriana, it's so beautiful. It's this cold tone of pink that I don't know how to explain, but I find it gorgeous. It sits under growing lights as well in my bedroom, and it generally grows super well like any Phalaenopsis. But keep in mind that's not a small plant. It's getting larger and larger in terms of the leaves. They are growing and growing, so I think it will become a massive orchid at some point. But I simply adore these leaves and these flowers, so I will definitely keep it in my collection for a long time. The flowers, they don't last for a long time like all other complex hybrids do. It will be in bloom for maybe around a month maximum. Don't expect more than that. But it's the right time for you to enjoy these blooms, and it is mildly fragrant. Mine, schilleriana, doesn't have a powerful perfume, nothing that I can sense. When I'm in my bedroom, I have to come close to my plant. So if I have sensitivity, I wouldn't be very worried. It's not one of these powerful fragrances, just to let you know. But it's so unique and it's so beautiful, and usually it is affordable as well. So let's go to the next one. Next one is my Phalaenopsis Diffusion. This is a commercial name. I found it locally probably in the supermarket or in a garden center. I have it for a while now, and I have other hybrids that are similar to this one. And they probably have the schilleriana as one of its parents, because you can see the leaves are mottled. You have all of these little dots, this mottling, that makes this plant so adorable. On top of that, it's one of these more compact type of hybrids. it has never grown super well, super fast. The leaves are becoming super large. No, it's usually will grow a little bit more, but will keep the compact size, which is great if you don't have a lot of space. On top of that, you can find it locally. It's going to be even cheaper than the schilleriana. And you also have mottling on its leaf, which is amazing. This plant is also fragrant. It has a beautiful perfume fragrance. It's the kind of fragrance that I like. I can stand it closer to me. And I think the fragrance is even stronger than the schilleriana. If I compare both, I feel this one a little bit more. And the plant can be in bloom for longer as well. Mine, it's in bloom now for 2 months. Soon the flower spike will be gone. But it's one of these super cute and amazing hybrids. I love the flowers as well. It's like, it's a tone of pink that goes towards the red spectrum. It's gorgeous, super cute, compact, mottled, everything that we want in a Phalaenopsis. Next one. This is my first orchid, the oldest orchid in my collection. This one my husband gave me when I wasn't super into orchids, or I didn't even know how to look after them. This one survived. It was also a miniature, but maybe 2 or 3 years ago, when I decided to spray a lot of leaf shine in most of my orchids because they were infested with thrips. I had an issue with this one and I almost lost it. It decided to push out a keiki, so this one is the keiki. It's another very common Phalaenopsis that we see around. I don't know its name. I don't know if it has a commercial name, but it's a super cute one with purple and white and has this contrast, and it's a compact Phalaenopsis as well. And the fact that the older in my collection, I'll make sure to look after it properly. I think I potted the cake separately in the beginning of last year, and it's still very, very young. So it pushed out only one flower spike. This time, it's not the most amazing one. I know that's capable of much more, and I hope it to grow larger than what it is right now. I hold it very close to my heart. It's one of these cute Phalaenopsis that has a sentimental value to it as well. And hopefully it will survive and I will be able to keep it with me for many, many years. The next one is what I believe to be the Phalaenopsis Minho rose. This one is a registered hybrid, and I found it in an article that I was reading someday, a Phalaenopsis register with this name, and it's exactly like this one. This one is another one that has a sentimental value. It is another pink Phalaenopsis. You're gonna see lots of pink today. I saved this one. I paid maybe 20p in a supermarket here in the UK. I bought 4 Phalaenopsis with me. They were dehydrated, they were dying, and I saved all of them. So from the 4 Phalaenopsis, only one of them died. And this one, I think, it is my favorite. I don't know how to explain. I know that's a common pink Phalaenopsis. It does have some mottling on its leaf as well. It's a little bit larger than most of my Phalaenopsis. But the flowers, I find them so elegant. I love the shape. It has maybe some tetraspis, not the tetraspis. I forgot the name of the parent now, but I'm sure it has these pointy petals and sepals, and it's all pink with this white border. And I think when you look to this white border and all the flowers together, it does complement the plant. And I think with the right care, again, it's one of these that I repotted last year. So it's still in the process of pushing out roots, and I've seen this one with more flowers than this time. It will have more flowers in the future because it's one of these Phalaenopsis that I really, really like, and I will keep it very close to my heart, and hopefully it will grow larger and will produce more flowers in the future. Next one, another spotlight that I showed you before, is my beautiful Phalaenopsis Sogo Vivien Variegata. This one I found in a supermarket as well, so it's a local find. It was pretty cheap here in the UK, and people adore this plant because of the variegation pattern on the leaves. It's a little bit different from the variegation that I showed you before here, that were more about the mottling. This one, each has the edge of the leaves, the margin of the leaves. They are variegated, they are a little bit lighter. For me, it looks like a snake plant a lot. Maybe people will disagree with that. And it requires the same care as any other Phalaenopsis. I'll link the video that I create about it down below. The only difference is that it also be a little bit more compact. It doesn't grow so quickly if I compare it to other Phalaenopsis, but it's great because it's a space saver and will push out these super cute purple and white flowers as well. But I think the flowers, you can see this pattern in many other Phalaenopsis. What's unique about this one specifically, it's the leaves. That's, I think, one of the reasons why people look for it around, and some of them are able to buy it even online. I was lucky enough to find it locally. So don't pay a very high price for these plants. Keep your eyes open and you might be able to find it locally or maybe even in a nursery for a very affordable price. It has no fragrance, but it is super cute. Now, another Phalaenopsis, that's another No ID. If you have any idea how this plant could be called, let me know down below. This one is the same case with the, let me remember the name here, okay, the Minho Late Rose. It's one of the 4 Phalaenopsis that I saved, and there were 20p. That were many years ago at this point, maybe 4 years. But the mother plant of this one had some issues with its crown and push out 2 cases. One of the cases is very dehydrated, push out a flower spike that's not doing well. The flowers are distorted, they are smaller, they are very, very strange. So I cut the flower spike soon. The second one push out a better flower spike, but also it is still a cakey and it's the first time that it's blooming. This plant looks small now, but will become more some sort of medium-sized Phalaenopsis in the future. It's not one of my favorites though. If I compare this one with the Little Rose, I would be with the Little Rose. I like it because I save it, so I will keep it in my collection. But I wish, I don't know, the lip could be a little bit stronger if I could compare. But maybe in the future, what I think this plant is capable of pushing out a ton of blooms and I can have a gorgeous display. I'll keep you posted, but it's one of these Phalaenopsis that it has a sentimental value, so I cannot give it to someone else. I will make sure to keep looking after this one. Let's see how it will progress, especially now that I have 2 KKs. Now, this is also a new acquisition. I bought it last year, maybe middle of the year to the end of the year. Probably showed you here. I bought 2 mini Phalaenopsis and this was one of them. It's the Phalaenopsis Sogo Sakura. It's a very common hybrid that it's very easy to find nearby in local supermarkets and flower shops. And I had this plant before. My husband gave it to me many years ago, but I lost that one. So I was super excited when I found this one for sale because I like the color of this plant. I know that it is another purple Phalaenopsis that's very common, but it is this sort of light, cool tone of purple. And it has something sweet. When I look at this plant, it has like this rounded shape type of flower. And I think that it's also capable of pushing out many flower spikes. So with the right care, I can have a stunning, wonderful bloom show. Although it does look like it's a small, more compact Phalaenopsis, I believe each will become a little bit larger than the others soon, because I can see that this one grows pretty fast. So I do expect to have a beautiful bloom show, but again, it's a very new Phalaenopsis that I bought it as a very young plant. It got it repotted, so push out the roots, and it's starting to grow now. So it takes a while for it to perform at its best, but I can wait. I think it will be beautiful in the future. And now, my second favorite of these 2 months is my beautiful Phalaenopsis Yen Shui Sweetie Girl Shiny Girl. This one I found locally as well in one supermarket. I had these crazy times when I used to walk around looking for orchids all over the supermarkets to see if I was able to find something that was a little bit different. And I was lucky enough to find this one. You probably have seen that in other YouTube videos, or you have seen that on the internet. It's one of these hybrids that people really enjoy because of the color combo. I think the color combo here is perfect. And this is my largest Phalaenopsis, believe it or not. I bought it as a big Phalaenopsis, but the crown had issues since the beginning, and I was hopeful that the crown could survive, but I noticed that the leaves were distorted. So it pushed out a cake, and I think I bought this cake up here in the channel last maybe 1.5 years. What happened is this cake survived, started to grow, and this is the first blooming, I think. And look how amazing it is. It pushed out so many flowers for the size of the cake. This plant is still very, very much young. So it will become a very large Phalaenopsis. It's one of these super large and big plants, but it still fits where it stands now. But next year I have to stake the flower spike because it is extremely heavy as it is. So imagine when the plant's larger. And I couldn't believe when I see the amount of branches that this spike produced and the amount of buds and blooms now, and put out a beautiful show. And it is so young. So imagine when it is a mature orchid. I can't wait. And as I said, I think the highlight of this one is definitely the flowers. It's the way that the yellow is merged with the white, and you have this white going around all the petals and sepals, and you have also this pink, dark pink lip that contrasts with the white and yellow of the flower. So all the tones are very much right, and the way that they contrast with each other and they complement the flowers, it is gorgeous, wonderful. I am in love. So this is the second highlight for me. But let me know which one of these is your favorite. Let me know if you have any of these plants. And stay tuned here because next month I will have more Phalaenopsis for you. On top of that, if you enjoy this type of content, please hit the like button, leave a comment down below, subscribe to my channel, and I hope to see you next time. Bye bye!